Runs deep in the blood of fans and players alike. Born in 1896, it's been fostered and reared for 93 years. During the 80s, Danny Ford's Clemson club has put their own personal stamp across the Palmetto State. But as the decade comes to a close, the Gamecocks build for the 90s. Tonight, for the 87th time, it's Clemson and South Carolina. We are before a jam-packed house in Columbia, South Carolina, William Bryce Stadium. Clemson, number 15th ranked in the nation, in town to take on the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Hello, everybody. I'm Ron Franklin, and welcome into what should be still another sensational evening of college football here on a Saturday night at ESPN. For these great folks in the state of South Carolina, the next 3 hours is what they actually live for 364 days a year, because they have a unique situation. There are 2 Division I schools in this state. And folks, you can't ride the fence. You either cheer for Clemson or you cheer for South Carolina. Tonight, the battle lines have been drawn. Kevin Kiley is with us on the telecast, but he's not here in the booth. In fact, he's down in the field. Let's go to him for a different perspective.
Thank you, Ron. You know, back in 1983, I broadcast all of Clemson's games, and I remember wondering, why did the Tigers always point to the final game against the University of South Carolina? That was until I got here to Williams-Brice Stadium, and I saw what a great rivalry that was. Now, that doesn't make me an expert. In a moment, I'll introduce you to 2 football players that are experts. Rodney Williams, the all-time leading passer for Clemson University, led the Tigers to consecutive 10-2 seasons and was 2-1-1 in his career here at South Carolina. Todd Ellis, the all-time leading passer at South Carolina, went down 3 weeks ago with a knee injury, and Todd will not be able to play in the game tonight. Todd, we'll speak to you in a moment. Thanks for being here. But first, the guest, Rodney Williams, an alumni now at Clemson. And what did it mean to the Clemson players and to yourself to play in this game?
It means a great deal. It's the interstate rivalry. It's just unbelievable about the emotion here. The fans get excited. It's a week-long festivity. The Tiger burn, the cock burn. It's just, I just really wish I could strap the pads back on and get out there, because I know I can speak for Todd, and this is what it's about.
All right, thank you very much, Rodney. Todd, this course would have been the crowning jewel in your great career, your last home game. What are your emotions now that you can't play in this game?
Well, it's difficult for me, because when I first came here, one of the things I looked for is we finished up with North Carolina up at home in the second to last game, and then of course Clemson here, and this is the big one. It's very difficult for me, and if I could trade anything that I've had, win or losses, and the great victories we've had here in Williams-Brice, I'd rather be here tonight.
You got a lot of great records for the Gamecocks. Would you trade any of them to be in this game?
Oh, no doubt about it. If I could even double the records, I'd trade them all in. It really doesn't matter. People will remember you for this game and what it means in your senior year.
All right, thanks, fellas. Thanks to both of you for being with us. I think you can see, Ron, this is one of the great rivalries in the country, and we're going to have a whale of a ball game tonight.
Thanks so much, gentlemen. We're going to take a break right now, give Kevin a chance to get back upstairs. We'll come back and talk X's and O's about the Tigers and the Gamecocks. Well, for the Clemson Tigers, the last time we saw them was down in Tallahassee, Florida. They not only beat a good Florida State team, they physically manhandled a good Florida State team. What has changed with them since then, though?
Well, you know, I think I misjudged them. I thought they were a top-5 team, maybe a national championship team after that game, but we have to remember they had 37 players gone from the year before, and they didn't get up for a couple of games. They lost to Georgia Tech, they lost to Duke, a little bit of inexperience, then they lost Terry Allen, their great tailback. It's a tailback-oriented offense. They need productivity from Allen tonight, coming off a knee injury, and his backup, Joe Henderson. They have to run against South Carolina to set up their passing game. That'll be the difference.
Well, you hear the noise coming up. Folks, we like to bring you the great sights and sounds of college football. Here comes South Carolina. versus South Carolina is brought to you by Mitsubishi Big Screen Television. This game would look better on a Mitsubishi Big Screen. By Gillette and the Gillette Actra Plus shaving system and Gillette Foaming. Together, the best a man can get. And by Casio, watches that do more than keep time. They keep you ahead of your time. The Capitol building here in Columbia, South Carolina, still pockmarks from where Sherman's troops came here heading for Atlanta in the Civil War over 100 years ago. And tonight, what they are anticipating, a record crowd, and here's the reason why. First meeting 1896. This goes back so far. As Kevin says, a lot of people don't know about this rivalry. Clemson leads it 50 games to 32. There have been 4 ties. And in the 80s, it's been primarily the Tigers. But the last time they met, Clemson won it 29-10. But Kev, as we will look on later on in the telecast, it has been decently even split as far as in the decades.
Well, Danny Ford, of course, 7-0 career record in games following an open date, and he had an open date prior to this game. Danny Ford knows how big this game is. Big game to me, too. It was the first real rivalry I ever did as a broadcaster back in 1983, and it was an emotional game then. It's an emotional game today. If you've never seen one of these, you've really missed something.
Yeah, and there is Sparky Woods taking over just this past year, has done an excellent job. Both of these clubs have had a lot of problems as far as injuries. And, of course, you know what happened with Ellis, his starting quarterback, his star quarterback, going down with the injury and not able to play after the North Carolina State game. Quite a blow to this football team. But as Danny Ford told us standing down on this field last night, he said, fellas, my boys understand it, and if they don't, they're in for a rude awakening. He said, we're going to get our heads knocked off tonight. Herring with a kickoff. Coming down, fumbled at the 6-yard line and to the 20, and that will be it as Carr brings it back, and he is gang tackled. The Sears Road Handlers starting lineups in the ball game tonight for the Clemson Tigers. Chris Morocco opens at quarterback, youngster out of Athens, Georgia. Henderson gets the start at tailback. Tony Kennedy is the fullback. The flankers, Gary Cooper, Rodney Fletcher, the wide receiver. The tight end, Stacy Fields. The center, Big Hank Phillips, he's a good one. The guards, Flesh and Harmon, and the tackles, Long and Brown. Pitch, Henderson, left side, out over the 25 to the 26. Now the South Carolina defense. Tim High is the nose guard. The defensive tackles, Simpson and Marty Dye. The defensive end, Corey Miller. The linebackers on the outside, Scott Windsor and David Taylor. On the inside, Joe Reeves and Patrick Henton. In the secondary, we'll see Walker and McDonald at the corners, and the safety is Leon Harris, Carroll City, Florida, his home. Terry Allen in the ball game, gets the handoff, and in fact at fullback he'll have the first down out across the 33 to the 34-yard line.
He is a key in this game, Ron. He rarely fumbles, and he is the main man in the backfield. A very durable back coming off a knee injury. Henderson, the fellow who's filled in for Allen, is a smaller back. A guy who's designed to play maybe 10 or 12 or 15 plays. It's Allen who carries the ball most of the time. Henderson has replaced him. Allen again coming off a knee injury.
Henderson had a big game against North Carolina, scored 3 touchdowns. He's going to be stopped for no gain. It's Reeves and High on the stop for South Carolina. Second down and long. Bruce Bratton, a sophomore, academic honor roll at left tackle. Stacy Long over on the right side. He's a junior and a big one at 6'2", 280 pounds. First pass of the night. Morocco tucks it. Going to run close to the first down at the 43, maybe the 44. Taylor got it.
Well, Clemson is a team that rarely passes the ball when they don't have to. They will always try to establish the run. Morocco, as you look at his completion percentage, mostly because they never put him in a position to fail. They'll usually pass when they feel like passing.
When you look at it nationally, with the number he has thrown, completions, yardage, and touchdowns, with only 2 interceptions on the year. In efficiency, he is very high in the nation.
Or else he wouldn't be in there for Clemson.
That's right. and short. Morocco keeps it, turns it up, has the first down, and about 4 more. Corey Miller is number 33, who had him topside.
Patrick Hinton, you may remember last year we had Hinton. He had a bunch of interceptions against NC State. Number 46, he's going to come. He reads it, but overruns it. Now, Morocco had him in the open field. Not really Hinton's fault. A lot of green around there, and very difficult for a linebacker to make a tackle on a back with that much open field. But he needs to keep inside-out leverage.
Henderson across midfield inside the 45, and Patrick Hinton finally puts the stopper on him, but that is a gain of very close to 9 yards.
That's a bad sign for the South Carolina defense. Clemson is a team that would like to simply overpower you with their offensive line. So far in this drive, they are doing that to the Gamecocks.
Just under 12 minutes to play in this opening quarter. Crowd has calmed down a bit. They're now into what is knocking on the field. Fullback, straight ahead. Tony Kennedy will have the first down, and he is inside the 40-yard line. Joe Reeves, 6'2", 220-pound sophomore, the strong side inside linebacker, makes the hit. The introduction of South Carolina is something. I have never seen this rivalry as you have, and you're exactly right. Pulling the guard, and you could see Henderson ran into Eric Harmon. Then he was crushed by Reeves, but the first big impact was actually when he ran into big Eric Harmon.
Well, the difference in the defense really is that last year under Joe Lee Dunn, the former defensive coordinator, this was mainly a man defense and constant pressure. They would take gaps and they would blitz on nearly every play. This is almost a 4-4 defense, still an aggressive defense, but they have 8 big people around the line of scrimmage. They should be able to stop the run.
Second down and long. Running play inside the 30-yard line this time. As you can see, Henderson bang his fist to the turf. Trent Simpson got a hand on him. High was also in the area.
Again, the key is the center and the 2 guards. They do a tremendous job inside. Watch the middle people in the front there. Eric Harmon, and now here's Henderson, the little quick back. Jeb Flesh makes a block, and Henderson picks his way through that defense. South Carolina has to stand up the block at the line of scrimmage and not give way. Don't create gaps for these little quick backs.
Third down, they need just inside the 28. And a timeout called by Morocco as he wants to talk it over with his coaching staff. So let's take a break with him. Just over 10 minutes to play. Still no score. The Tigers driving. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Clemson versus South Carolina, is brought to you by UPS. Fast, efficient service to 175 countries and territories worldwide. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda, it just feels right. Rob Franklin and Kevin Kiley here in Columbia, South Carolina. We also should mention Danny Ford did not want to bring his club out before the 2001 tonight. Third down, they need about 2. Straight ahead, Tony Kennedy, and I believe he has the first down. Yes, at the 27. Marty Dye, a sophomore out of Greenwood, knocked him down, but it is 1st and 10.
Number 35, Tony Kennedy, came to Clemson as a defensive back and outgrew the position. Look at the block over there by Harmon, just pushing the player out of the way and allowing Kennedy to come inside. Now a fullback, was a defensive back.
Morocco with the option. He'll keep it. Goes for a couple, maybe 3. Patrick Hinton knocks him down after the short game.
Well, we did see, Ron, we saw this against Florida State, didn't we? It's a classic Clemson drive. They will run it and run it until they can't run it anymore. Sparky Woods used to watch this one on television. Now he's in the middle of it.
12th play of the drive coming up. Henderson on the deep draw. Big yardage inside the 15. Move the chains again. David Taylor trips him up.
Number 59 in a white shirt, Jeb Flesh against 44, Joe Reeves. Look at the seal block. You have to come up and meet that block if you're a linebacker. Hank Phillips helping out there with a block to center. But if you're a linebacker, you need to read it quicker. Get on that guy and get rid of him. Don't give him the angle to cut off.
Allen in the ball game has the handoff inside the 5. Touchdown Clemson.
There it is. We just watched it. I think it was a 14-play drive. You're going to see it from behind Joe Reeves. Straight running play. Terry Allen. A lot of room. Actually, there was a huge hole there, and then his momentum just carried him in and over the official.
The umpire scored with him. Gardocki to try to make it 7-0 Clemson. He's perfect. 8 minutes, 49 seconds showing on the clock in this opening period, and the Tigers, 14 plays, go on top.
Part of the reason that Clemson scored here, look at the splits on the offensive line and then watch the center. Hank Phillips and Eric Harmon, number 76, the right guard. Look at the block on high and all the space in there for Terry Allen. South Carolina will need to close down those splits. You can't allow Clemson to take those wide gaps between the linemen. 13 plays, 79 yards, all of 6 minutes, 11 seconds, and the big guy got in there, Ron, for 12 yards.
Everything on the ground, as you said. And, of course, that's Clemson's style of football. You look up at the clock, and all of a sudden almost half of the opening period is over, and your offense warmed up 20 minutes ago. They got to come out there now and start taking snaps.
Well, the thing about Clemson that's so incredible is you want them to go 13 or 14 plays because you figure they're going to make mistakes, but they are 1 or 2 in the nation every year in turnover ratio. They never give the ball up.
Ball has just fallen off the tee. I don't think it could have blown up. We got a little breeze. Brooks is back deep, one of the backmen. You see his average. Excellent return man at 22.5 yards. Eddie Miller is on the other side of him as the ball came off the tee, and now we are set. Clemson leads 7-0. Brooks at the 9. Oh, what a hit as he crosses the 25-yard line. Let's meet the starters on offense for South Carolina. Dickie DeMacy will open at quarterback. Behind him, Harold Green, the great one, number 22, and Keith Bing at fullback. The wide receivers, Miller and Robert Brooks. David Hodge is the tight end. The center, Kurt High. The guards, Danny Branch and Kenny Haynes, and the tackles, Ike Harris and Calvin Stevens. Stevens said to be the best of the offensive linemen for the Gamecocks. From splitbacks, they fake the reverse. They're going to go long, looking for Brooks, and that is going to be intercepted. Jerome Henderson, return at the 40. Steps out of bounds at the 46-yard line. So, that South Carolina offense that had to sit on the bench for so very long is going to have to sit for another length of time. Well,
this is exactly, Ron, what South Carolina needed to do, and it would have worked. It's a fake reverse to Macy. And this is a touchdown. This is wide open, but the ball floats on to Macy to Henderson. Now that ball, he was wide open on the inside on the post. He threw the ball inside and way overthrown. Henderson, all he had to do was catch it. Big turnover for South Carolina.
Henderson gets outside, breaks the tackle, and he is out across midfield. That's going to be a gain of about 6. Corey Miller making the play defensively. There's Henderson on the sideline who made the interception just a moment ago. And Todd Ellis, the gentleman with the crutches.
The all-time leading passer, 1,374 yards coming into the North Carolina State game when he was injured. A huge loss for South Carolina.
Allen at fullback, breaks it big, has 2 men to beat, and he is inside the 30 down to the 26. 27 yards, and Danny told us last night he might cross him up by using him at fullback.
This guy, he's too quick. He gets to the line too quick. Look at the splits again. See the separation between the linemen. Straight blocking, overrun by the linebacker. And Allen, I'll tell you what, you don't want to give him the smallest hole, much less a hole that big. He's into the secondary, and he is trouble. Nothing fancy. That's just straight blocking by Clemson.
Henderson back, top of the eye, cuts it back into the middle inside the 20. He's down to the 17. David Taylor, the strong safety, makes the stop. And on first down, Clemson has been chewing up the yardage. Cooper and Rodney Fletcher checking back into the ball game at wide receiver.
Danger is down for Clemson. Second and short. In enemy territory, they can do anything.
They'll go with Henderson. The quick step, and it's not going to be enough. He's going to be knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Curtis Godwin and Marty Dye combine on the stop. I don't think he had any gain at all. It is going to be third down, and they need the 16-yard line. Terry Allen checks back into the lineup. Injured a knee against Virginia. Since then, 10 carries for 36 yards and 1 touchdown. But he looks tonight as though he is 100%. Fullback right into the middle. He'll have the first down. Tony Kennedy. Boy, what a surge by that offensive front.
Well, look at the splits now. They've tightened their splits down in short yardage. They're very close together, and they're just going, again, straight on blocking. They get Kennedy behind those big linemen, and he just pushing them out of the way. Carolina has to find a way to pile it up in the middle and get their linebackers involved in the tackling.
Flesh, Hank Phillips, Bruce Bratton blocking up front, doing a great job in that last play. This is Kennedy. Breaks it open at the 5, and he is down to the 1.
Patrick Hinton said that I just let my linemen keep these guys off of me. Well, it's not happening tonight. 46 is Patrick Hinton, and he's getting blown out. Look at this. The center is loose. Now Hinton caught up with the center, and here comes Kennedy cutting back. Good cut back into the secondary again. And fullbacks loose in the secondary. Those defensive backs will bring them down, but not without big gains.
Again, it's going to be Henderson and Terry Allen as the two setbacks. Allen, the fullback. Allen tripped up at the 1-foot line. They say, no, he did not get in. Leon Harris got a hand on it.
He tripped over his own man, Ron. I think he tripped over a lineman. He made this cut so quick. Watch number 21 and how quickly he reacts on this play. There was nothing really to stop him from getting in the end zone. He just got hooked up with his own lineman.
7-0. Tigers lead. We're about to go under 5 minutes to play opening quarter. And again, they are knocking on the door. Allen, right side, touchdown Tigers. Gets in on this play, number 46. Looks like they knock him sideways. It's whether or not the ball crosses the plane. Here, from right down the goal line. Watch 46, left center of your screen. Makes the hit, and then they drive him horizontally across the goal line. Tough call. Official said he was in. Chris Gardocki, who is 33 of 33 on the season, tries to put Clemson up by 14. Footer boots it through, so let's take a break. 4:53 left in the first period. Hang on for the Tigers. Well, if he just walked into the living room, that score is correct. In fact, South Carolina does not have a yard in the ball game yet. Danny Ford, what's his record after having a week off? 7-0. He's never lost one. And I'd say they're pretty doggone well prepared tonight, wouldn't you?
You know, absolutely. I don't think people realize around the country, I hope I'm not insulting anyone, what a great coach he is. Clemson, a classic Clemson drive after a turnover, 8 plays. 54 yards, 336 is a little short. This guy has been around a lot of years, and this team, year in and year out, wins 8 and 9 games. They're just tough, and they are physically tough, Clemson.
Gardocki to kick it off. This will come on again to Brooks at the 6. And Clemson will deny him the 25-yard line as Ashley Stevens on the special teams is there to make the stop. Number 1 Notre Dame trailed early, but they came on to win it over Penn State. Colorado, well, there it is. Perfect season for them. They head for the Orange Bowl. Michigan came from behind to whip Minnesota. Alabama got a little bit of a slow start. They went over Southern Mississippi. Green, left side, a couple, maybe 3. Rob Bodine makes the stop. And let's take a look at the defense for the Tigers. There is Mr. Bodine, who just made the tackle. Alongside him, Otis Moore and Vance Hammond, the defensive tackles. Outside, all linebackers in this club are great ones. Kirkland and Johnson. On the inside, Brewster and McDaniel. We'll check that secondary in just a moment. Green again. Alters his course. That is a fine second and individual effort out to the 34-yard line. And now the secondary for the Tigers, Jerome Henderson, who had the pick off just a moment ago, and Dexter Davis. And the 2 safeties, Robert O'Neill and James Lott. O'Neill has 6 interceptions on the season.
He's a freshman.
2 tight ends. 3rd down, they need about a foot. Green hurdles, and I don't know. He got yanked back by Doug Brewster, one of those linebackers, a junior out of Athens.
Power eye, real easy to read. If you're going to run a power eye, you need to power it. Watch the Clemson defensive line. They're holding people up, and here comes Brewster from the side, number 92, and he just corrals Harold Green.
1st and 10 for the Gamecocks, their first down of the evening. Pitch comes to Green. No blockers in front, spins off a couple of tackles, and then Brewster is there to knock him down. Oh, we've talked so much about Todd Ellis tonight and his injury against North Carolina State. Dickie DeMacy, a junior out of Irmo. A scrambler, not what you would call a classic passer. And Kevin, he can't help that he doesn't have experience, because when you're playing behind a guy that set as many records as Todd Ellis, well, this youngster has really walked into a lot.
Well, one of the real difficulties in Ellis's injury is that DeMacy is in the game without having a chance to get ready.
Lots of time, safety valve. Gets it out in the flat to the 40. Rush breaks off one more tackle, and he is going to be stopped at the 42. It's good for 8 yards.
Well, if you take this game in matchups and not emotion, it's going to be very difficult for South Carolina. Now watch Rush. He's going to block and release, and this is what South Carolina has to do. But what they're doing is getting their people isolated on linebackers like Brewster. The strength of the Clemson defense, linebackers, probably the quickest unit in the country. So even that's going to be difficult for the Gamecocks to establish a passing game underneath.
DeMacy, pressure from behind, breaks by the tackle, and the youngster will have the first down at the 47-yard line.
The bandit, they call him at Clemson, John Johnson. But if Dickie DeMacy can do one thing that Ellis can't, it's this. Nobody blocks Johnson, but DeMacy can run. And Ellis wasn't all that good of a runner. DeMacy will run and pick up the first down. Big play for South Carolina.
John Johnson really putting the pressure on. Second first down of the ball game for South Carolina. Green behind one block, breaks it outside. 45, still on his feet, and he's all the way down to the 37-yard line. 15 yards of the carry.
is going to meet Harold Green tonight, number 22. Watch Rush. He's a wide receiver looking to block on the corner. Look at the move that Green makes here. Jets tacklers, a true power back, a #1 pick in the NFL draft. This guy's a great player. It hurts him not to have Ellis, but boy, can he run the ball.
Green, left side, hold my. He is chilled at the line of scrimmage. Nothing there as McDaniel, one of the first men to step up into the pocket along with Vance Hammond. Updating you on some other scores. Florida State, 57-20, they win. Nebraska over Oklahoma today. Miami of Florida defeating San Diego State. And take a look at this one. Yep.
Talk about emotion, huh?
That's right.
Emotion.
Macy swings it out of the backfield, complete, and that is Dingle getting by one more tackler at the 32, and he's down to the 30-yard line.
Oh, here's a little bit of poise from Dickie DeMacy, a great play call, and Mike Dingle, who was a high school back of the year at South Carolina, in South Carolina. In fact, Harold Green was a high school back of the year before. Look at this, floats it right over the defense. Great pass by DeMacy, and Dingle, who can run, folks. And now he's into the secondary, and South Carolina marching.
Blitz coming from the middle. DeMacy's pass is partially tipped. Rush the intended receiver, and now the crowd is booing, but once the ball is tipped, partner, that receiver is fair game. Crowd didn't understand that, I don't think.
They're booing for that, and they're also booing because when Rush was on the ground, Ron, Lott was on top of him and wouldn't get up, and when he did get up, he gave him a little shove. These guys know each other. They go to high school together, and then they play each other for 4 years, and there's a lot of intensity and emotion here. George Rush, you can see him go to the sideline.
Colin Mackey to attempt a field goal. His longest is 48. He's 12 of 18 on the year. This is a 47-yard attempt. No real wind as a factor. Kick is on the way. Does it have the distance? No, just short. So Mackey, who had been good on 66% of his field goal attempts this year, not quite enough muscle on that one. Some other scores. Ole Miss leading Tennessee at the time, and the Volunteers come back to win it. Auburn, boy, were they impressive today against Georgia. Illinois.
Bounce back.
Yep.
Two great rivalries set up now. You've got the Auburn-Alabama rivalry set up for next week, and then that Miami-Notre Dame game. Both of those teams winners today, and that'll be a battle next week, too.
First pass of the night, and it is complete. Out over the 35 to Gary Cooper, and that is the end of the first quarter. A penalty flag is down on the field. That has been thrown at the 33. The unsportsmanlike will go against Clemson. Let's see if we can see it.
Oh, they're getting him for throwing the ball, but it wasn't Cooper.
He says, Coach Ford says, yes, I know. He tried to spike it in his back.
Sportsmanlike conduct against Clemson. The second down.
Leon Harris gave a little push, and then Cooper threw the ball and got the play called on.
So that is the end of the opening period. Clemson 14, South Carolina nothing. All those young ladies from Clemson have reason to smile. 14-0, and we open the second period. Breaks off one tackle, has 10, has 15, counted off at 17 yards in the play. Boy, he has been simply unstoppable tonight.
Well, I don't know if they, in college football, if they buy dinners for their offensive linemen, but they sure ought to. Look at the blocking for Clemson, and look at this hole for Terry Allen. He sheds one block and then he's loose. 6 carries, 65 yards, but this offensive line of Clemson is doing a remarkable job.
Well, the 1-2 punch has been Henderson and Allen. Tony Kennedy has run well, but also Allen has run both tailback and fullback. Here he comes again. Breaks off a tackle again, and he will have 10 plus. Trent Simpson, a senior out of Atlanta, finally put the stopper on him, but it's out at the 46-yard line.
Gamecocks are going with a trick defense. 51 is Tim High, the middle guard. See him to the right of your screen, a little bit back from the line of scrimmage. They've got him in kind of a flex, and now they have him on a stunt. But Clemson picks off the stunt. High, 51, runs out of the play, and Allen runs right at the bubble. No one there, and then a little bit further.
Morocco gets it out of the flat. Henderson tripped up at the 50-yard line, trying to put a spin move on the defensive back, Keith McDonald.
It's a nice job by Keith McDonald out there, saving another big gainer.
You know, Morocco was a young man that has not gotten the attention nationally that probably he should. Senior out of Athens, Georgia. Youngster's already graduated. In fact, last summer, administrative management, and he is in grad school now. Henderson, right side, losing his footing, and he dives for 2 more. Marty Dye tripped him up, and from where they have it spotted, it's going to be 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Virginia over Maryland.
Their 9th win of the season and the ACC title with that win.
Pitt was behind, had to come from behind to win. Texas Tech had a tough time with SMU, but they came on to win it. Ooh, look at BYU. Whoa. Ty Detmer has had a sensation. Speaking of quarterbacks who maybe haven't gotten the attention.
Yeah, they may be building another national title contender out there, and Detmer is a sophomore, isn't he?
Sophomore out of San Antonio, Texas. 14-0 our score, as Clemson dominated the opening period. And in fact, the storyline tells you a pretty good story of exactly why. For starters, South Carolina just could not get their hands on the football, and then when they did, first play, they threw an interception. 2 touchdowns in those 2 opening drives. The average per rush, almost 8. First downs, 10-3 in favor of the Tigers. Allen, 7 rushes, 2 touchdowns already, 75 yards.
Now, all that screams of offensive line, Ron. You're looking at that, and you just got to give that offensive line, Bratton and Flesh and Phillips and Harmon and Long. Every one of those statistics, you can count the offensive line.
Good luck at Sparky Woods. Of course, with the death of Coach Morrison last February the 5th. He came on here to become the head coach at South Carolina and has done a marvelous job and is continuing to learn. He knows a lot about this area, but the people are continuing to learn and love more about him.
A nice fella.
Yes, he is. Allen straight up the middle. He'll have the first down at the South Carolina 42-yard line.
Hey, again, you know, the backs for Clemson are so tough, and they have to be because they get such a great effort out of the offensive line. You need that. Here's Harmon coming out to pull. And look at this Allen with his head down and that spin move. His knee is fine. Just fine, thank you.
He's going to get a breather. You can see him pointing up to his headgear. He's having problems with a strap, so they get him out for a play. Pitch goes to Henderson behind the blocking of Junior Hall, and there's nothing there. And all of a sudden, the Gamecocks step up. It's Trent Simpson who knocks him down after a gain of maybe 1.5 yards. Kevin, if they're going to have a prayer in this one, they got to put a stop. I mean, not even 3 points.
Well, the first thing you stop on Clemson is the run. If you don't stop the run, you have no defense against this team, and South Carolina has not been able to stop the run. They need to take those gaps, force them to close the gaps down.
Well, you could see the play selections as Henderson gets the handoff, a little counter move inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. David Taylor stops him, but it's a gain of 18.
And Clemson Listen, sometimes people think of Clemson as being a little bit arrogant. 2nd and 8, they don't even think about a pass. They just hand the ball off. They figure they have 3 downs to get it, and there are very few teams in the nation that can stop them.
Well, with their backs and with the offensive line, it's almost like wrong-footing somebody in tennis. Flow goes to one direction, they counter back, and that's what happened. Henderson had the huge opening. This time, Terry Allen, and he will maintain his average at over 10 yards. He is going to have another Clemson first down.
Big block over there. Bratton and Flesh leading the way. I asked Danny Ford one time, would he rather have a quarterback or an offensive line? He said, I'd take the offensive line. 76, Harmon. Great block, seal block there. And no, I didn't do anything. Thanks.
Allen hit in the backfield, and he maybe has one, and that's it. Robert Gibson, a junior out of Jamestown, North Carolina, is there to put the hit on him.
Well, you have to be fair to the Gamecocks. Now, the Gamecocks have learned completely different offense, totally different defensive scheme this year. They had another coaching change, and in fact, when you talk about the Gamecock offense, total yards, 208 to 46, their 3rd different offensive coordinator in the last 4 years.
Pitch to Allen. Head high tackle. He's going to be stopped after 1. That's Marty Dye who grabbed him. Rick Witt, the defensive coordinator, said that Dye is probably the best player, particularly in the front 7 on the defense, and he has shown it so far this evening. 3rd down, ball at the 11, and Clemson needs the 4. Allen with 85 yards in the ballgame. Henderson, and he'll go nowhere. Bottom of that stack is Patrick Hinton.
The man to watch is number 80, Simpson. Excuse me, Dye there on standing it up and then slipping into the hole. The rest of the defense caught up in pursuit. Nice job.
Gardocki comes on to attempt the field goal, and it looks as though it's going to be in the vicinity of 27 yards. On the year, 19 of 25. Certainly one of the best kickers in the nation. 28, they now say. They've moved it back a yard. Punter and place kicker. He's perfect. 9:15 left until halftime. Clemson has not looked back. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Clemson versus South Carolina, is brought to you by Oldsmobile and their all-new 4-door Cutlass Supreme. By Fuji, makers of quality film and cameras. Fuji, a new way of seeing things. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley, 17-0. Our score here in Columbia, South Carolina. As Gardocki prepares to kick it off, Clemson Tigers have not really had to worry about the pass.
Well, they look like they did last time we saw them.
That's right.
Very powerful.
Just like they did against Florida State. Gardocki, this one deep. It's going to be taken by Brooks. 30, 35, and he's all the way to the 39-yard line. Maybe that will be a starter for the Gamecocks. A return of 39 on the play. James Trapp on the special teams for the Tigers. Sparky Woods took over after Joe Morrison died of a heart attack last February the 5th. As we have a new quarterback in the ballgame, Pat Turner, a senior out of Canton, Georgia, converted linebacker.
Originally a quarterback, though.
That's right.
I don't want anybody to think he was just a linebacker.
Green. 5, 7, and 8 as Bodine is hanging on. Here's a look at Turner. He has thrown the ball only 4 times, completed 2 for 9 yards.
Spent his first 2 years of college on a bus. Played to South Carolina, transferred to Georgia Tech, decided he liked South Carolina better, transferred back, was a great quarterback, neck and neck with Ellis when he was just a freshman. Ellis won the job, he got unhappy, and now he is a converted linebacker, back to quarterback.
Bing gets the handoff, goes over right tackle, has the first down across midfield. Bodine again making the stop. Some other scores. Ohio State winning over Wisconsin today. And have a look at that one. Fresno State was going for a perfect season, and New Mexico gets the victory. Duke winning huge over North Carolina. Boy, for the Lobos, how big is that?
That's a big win.
They have struggled all year long. Thing again. Hammers at the right side to the 45. Bodine, the nose guard. 6'1", 235 pounds. Not real large for a nose guard.
Most improved player, they say, on the Clemson defense. Bodine, a former linebacker. They had to get him in somewhere. You think about the refrigerator, you know, he was 330 pounds. This guy is he's an ice cube compared to the fridge.
Turner should, I'm sure he is saying, I should have given it to the fullback. And as he went to the second option, it was to be engulfed by Otis Moore.
Well, what the Gamecocks went to 2 tight ends on this series with Turner and an I formation. They were normally with Todd Ellis. They were a single back passing formation team. 2 tights, a flanker, and an I formation is not hard to read. This is power football, and if they don't move Clemson out along the offensive line, they're not going anywhere.
To Green as he rolls it out, wants to run, and he's going to be hammered down for a 4-yard loss by Vance Hammond.
See the frustration on Turner's face. When you ask the coaches about Turner, the word that came out mostly was rusty. A very fine athlete, could be a very good quarterback, but rusty.
Slot the deep man as you look at Rodney Price. Good high coverage kick. Lott runs away from it, and it takes a South Carolina bounce, and it's going to be down inside the 3-yard line. 46 yards in the kick. Clemson takes over with their worst field position.
Pretty wild punt sequence here. Watch the deep snapper, Wayne Bell. Watch the Clemson defense. They don't know what they're doing. Look, he should snap the ball right there. And he doesn't. Now watch 44 Reeves, the linebacker. He starts saying, we need this, waves his hand, and the official calls a procedure penalty because Reeves was moving when the ball was snapped. Wayne Bell should have got rid of it when Clemson was running around.
So Clemson gets quite a reprieve because they were going to have to scrimmage for their own 2.5-yard line. As it is, a 5-yard penalty moves it back to the 46 of South Carolina. And they will have to kick it all over again. Rodney Price.
Well, that's a big play, wasn't it?
Lott the deep man. Longest return this year, 50 yards for him. Clemson's got the return on. This is a line drive. From the 15. 25, still on his feet and hit from behind at the 29-yard line. Joe Reeves is the man who came back and made the pop. The student athlete of the game is brought to you by the U.S. Army. Get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And tonight's recipient is South Carolina offensive lineman Mark Fryer. Mark graduated with a 3.7 grade point average in accounting, and currently he is pursuing a master's degree in business administration. And also twice he's been named first team academic All-American. Mark Fryer. our student athlete of the game, as a penalty marker down at the 50-yard line. Reeves, number 44, reviewing the options. The special team, the punting unit's going to get another workout.
Holding against Clemson at the line of scrimmage, be 10-yard penalty, 4th down.
So Buddy Ward says let's do it a 3rd time. Maybe that is the charm.
Well, I tell you, when you're on the punting team, and I was on a lot of them, the worst thing that can happen is a penalty. Well, you hate to run down onto those things. And when you're talking about 2 or 3 in a row, it can get real tiresome.
17-0 our score. Clemson leads with 5:44 left until halftime. This time, another good coverage kick. Wobbly spiral as Lott runs away from it. And it is going to go dead at the 13-yard line. That's 31 yards in the kick as Mike Conway got downfield for the Gamecocks. Gorgeous night in Columbia, South Carolina. Temperature started off in the low 40s, supposed to go down around freezing this evening. Everybody bundled up and sitting real close together in this crowd of over 73,000. And of course, what the folks in Garnet and White would like to see happen is they'd warm things up with just the noise if their offense could get something going. Hasn't been the case so far as Chris Morocco scrimmages from the 13. Allen breaks off a tackle, and he is going to bring it out to the 20-yard line. Terry's only a junior, Commerce, Georgia.
I want you to watch left guard number 59, Jeff Fletcher. He's going to pull on this play, left center of your screen. He's looking for somebody to block. And there was Hinton. Hinton missed the tackle, and Fletch never touched anybody. Couldn't find anybody in there to block. In position, no one there.
Allen looks for a block. You can hear the popping from up here down to the, or out to the 24-yard line. That is going to put him real close to 100 yards in the evening. He had 93 after that long last carry, which was his 12th. Play selection so far in the ball game for the Clemson Tigers, only 2 passes. 32 times they have rushed the football. Morocco swings it out, has it to Gary Cooper across the 35, pushed out of bounds at the 39 by Leon Harris.
Wide receiver Rodney Fletcher is the leading receiver on this team. This is Gary Cooper, but they will throw to wide receivers when they think they can get away with it. And here, of course, they think they can. Anytime you rush the ball 32 times, pass twice, and are up 17-0, you ought to be able to complete a pass.
Rare for Clemson to throw inside their own 40, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but when they get that 17-0 lead, they do just about anything.
Allen in trouble, going to be knocked down for no gain. Lost the football, and the official right on top says nope, it was down. Corey Miller, 33, is the one who grabbed it.
Corey Miller was a middle linebacker last year for South Carolina. In their pressure defense, they moved him to the outside. He said he had difficulty playing over the tight end. You can see that Terry Allen is down. Look at that knee brace on his left knee, and he's holding it. Holding on to the knee, which he injured. Joe Henderson, the leading rusher on this ball club, has done a magnificent job at 668 yards. Terry Allen is the man that they were looking to, because as you have seen him run this evening, but he injured a knee against Virginia and has just been not very productive because of it. Here comes number 21. Watch the left knee. He goes down, and either he hit it or he twisted it. Didn't look like one of those classic knee injuries where the joint was in jeopardy. He was able to walk off under his own power. Now, that is a great back. He fumbled once in 1988 last year. That was in the Citrus Bowl after the season.
Reggie Lawrence comes in at tailback. He gets the ball. He's going to throw a halfback pass. Wide open is Cooper. He's got it inside the 20.
Well, you could say this is Leon Harris's fault, but remember, the offensive line of Clemson has controlled this game. They're showing pass. Maybe Leon should have seen this. It's an option. This is wide open, folks. Cooper was even more wide open than that. To Harris's credit, he gets back and he makes the tackle before he gets in. But again, anytime a team establishes the run the way Clemson has, any kind of pass should be open.
Has been silenced. They're going to have to hurry. 25-second clock down to 2. They get it off with a running play straight ahead inside the 15-yard line. And Reggie Lawrence, a junior out of Jacksonville, Florida, the third tailback that the Tigers have used tonight, has the game.
Well, that play more than anything shows you why the option pass would work. When Clemson needs 5 yards up the middle, they get them.
17-0. Tigers lead. Just under 3 to play until halftime. Straight ahead, Kennedy, the fullback, has one, maybe a couple on the play. And quickly, let's go to Bob Carpenter for an update.
All right, Ron, not a whole lot of nighttime action taking place besides your game, but Mississippi State is at LSU, and Tom Hodson hits Tony Moss, a 55-yard touchdown play, and the Tigers take the lead. Mississippi State would love to win this game and go 6-4.
Thanks, Bob. So the Tigers getting it cranked up. Mississippi State extremely tough against the run also. Bootleg. Morocco has a man open. Touchdown, Rodney Fletcher.
Again, it's going to be Leon Harris in man coverage. They're going to have a drag pattern here in Morocco with the fake. Again, play action. You have to respect it. That leaves that underneath open. And Rodney beats Leon Harris across the field, uses the great speed. Morocco, that's why he has that great passing efficiency, because when they throw, everybody's looking for run.
Rodney kind of carried it up on top of the shoulder pad for a couple of yards.
Yes,
here.
he did.
Gardocki. Keeps his efficiency alive. Perfect on the year, 24-0 as you get one more look as Fletcher scores. The Palmetto State rivalry heated up in Columbia on Thursday night. At South Carolina, students and supporters held their annual Tiger Burn Pep Rally. Last night, Clemson alumni and cheerleaders gathered at a Columbia hotel for a festive pep rally to cheer on their Tigers in hopes of a triumph in this, the 87th meeting. Well, this is one of the great rivalries in college football, and they do draw the line come this Saturday every year. Right now, the Clemson Tigers are trying to say, hope you're on our side of the line, because it has been decisive so far with 2:08 left until halftime, 24-0. Clemson Tigers as Gardocki kicks it off. Brooks at the 2. To the 37-yard line. 33 yards. He was 39 on the last one. And here is bad news for Tiger fans. Terry Allen did re-injure the knee and could not leave the field under his own power. 97 yards and 14 rushes, scored a couple of touchdowns. Hopefully in the third period we'll be able to get some kind of report from the locker room.
He didn't look to be in great pain, and they didn't pack it in ice immediately. Maybe that's a positive sign. DeMacy
back in at quarterback. Shovel pass. Rush. 45, and he's out to the 49. George Rush, a junior out of Goose Creek. 12 yards in the play.
Oh, one of the more, they're going to go with a hurry-up offense now, Ron.
DeMacy going long, put it up for grabs, and it's intercepted by O'Neal, his 7th of the year. comes down at the 25. As DeMacy either had it slip out of his hand, something happened, but it looked like a wounded duck. He just hung it up there. I think the flag was thrown at the end of the play. Clemson will maintain possession. Yep, and a clip called against the Tigers.
Well, one of the more difficult things for South Carolina is that Eddie Miller and Robert Brooks are great receivers. Now, DeMacy going back, looking, his arm, he just doesn't have the arm to get it to the, look at the ball, how it's wobbling, and watch Miller. And Miller was open earlier than that, but that ball is just wobbling and underthrown, and it's going to be picked off. They have these two outstanding wide receivers with great speed. That man, Todd Ellis, didn't have much trouble getting the ball to him. He had 10 TDs before he got hurt. Only 6 interceptions, but DeMacy's new, and he just can't get it out there.
Henderson will take it for 3 as Marty Dye comes up to make the hit on him. Time of possession in this first half. Clemson has had the ball almost 20 minutes, 19 minutes, 43 seconds to South Carolina's 8 minutes and 47 seconds. That ties the record. We told you it was his 7th, and it ties the single season record.
And he is a freshman. Fred Noble of the 1951 Tigers held that record. Fred, if you're out there, been tied.
Henderson, little stagger step, takes it into the line. A couple of people with him. David Taylor has the stopper on him. It's going to be 3rd down. They'll need about 3. Kevin, that entire secondary. O'Neal with 7 now. Davis with 3. Lott with 5. And Jerome Henderson got his 2nd tonight.
I remember in the Florida State game where we thought how powerful they were and how they shut down that Florida State passing offense and really dominated that game. We were commenting on what great athletes and what a super defense they had. And then they lost to Duke, a passing team, and Georgia Tech got a bunch of points on them, which kind of surprised me.
Henderson smacked hard at the line of scrimmage. Trent Simpson will deny him anything, and it's going to be 4th down. South Carolina will call a timeout to stop the clock with 5 seconds left until halftime. So we'll go away for just a moment for what should be the final play of this first half.
2 kicks this year.
Booming spiral. Platt running for the far sideline, and he kicked it out of bounds at the 36-yard line. And with that, the end of the first half. So the Clemson Tigers have dominated in this first 30 minutes of play as they go to the locker room, 24-0. Let's go to Bob Carpenter.
All right, Ron Franklin, Clemson rolling on the road.
The reasons they did is because of their splits, and South Carolina was never able to limit the space. The enemy of defense is space. Look how far back the linebackers were, and they're playing them head up. The Gamecocks against Clemson, the blocking is fine, and the linebackers not able to close fast enough, and they ran to the tune of about 200 and something yards in that first half against South Carolina.
Well, we have a special guest for the start of the 3rd period here. The gentleman should be on the field with his shoulder pads and headgear on. Todd Ellis, the injured quarterback for South Carolina. Sparky said he's not a screamer and a shouter. I have a feeling at halftime he might not have been too calm, though.
Well, I think probably he's trying to ignite the offense. He's telling the defense that we're sorry we left you out there on the field so long. What we've got to do is sustain some drives. I think the points are a second right now. We need to keep the defense we need off the field and get a long drive.
Okay. Stick around with us here. We're going to get some expert analysis from you on the Gamecocks and what they're trying to do offensively particularly. Gardocki to kick it off to open this 3rd period with Clemson on top, 24-0. This one's going to come out of bounds on the near side. 5-yard penalty will be stepped off, and they'll do it again. Let's take a look at the first half stats. And that pretty doggone well sums it up. 302 to 69. Look at the rushing yardage for Clemson. 224 yards, Kevin. Time of possession. That goes back to what Todd was saying just a moment ago. Can't leave the defense out there that long.
Well, yeah, that's a classic Clemson, well, outrageous offensive performance. Todd, I'd like to ask you a question, though. Your schedule. I noticed in your schedule you played 5 teams from North Carolina, you played Florida State, but you really all year have not played a powerful, aggressive team the likes of Clemson. I mean, this is a nationally known team for pushing people around.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. Size to us means so much. Usually the opponents that we play were outsized, and until we play an aggressive team like Clemson on both sides of the ball that has such great intensity and size, that becomes a big factor for us.
Here comes Gardocki from the 30 this time. He still gets a lot of leg at it. Brooks at the 5. 20, 25, and needed one more block. He's going to come out to the 28. And let's take a look at the South Carolina possessions in the first half. This, too, will tell a big story. 1 and out with the interception. Then a 10-play drive. They missed the field goal attempt. 5 plays, 17 yards total, and a punt, and then a second interception. Only 2 plays on that one. 18 total plays in that first half. That won't get it against a club as good as Clemson. Rush in motion. Green tries to turn the corner, gets 1 block from Rush, and then he's going to be pounded at the 30. It'll be a gain of about 1. Robert O'Neill coming up from his free safety spot to make the hit for the Tigers. You know, I was just told at halftime by Fred Godelli, our producer, that in 1977, Clemson led 24-0 at halftime. They had to kick a field goal in the waning moments to win 27-24 over South Carolina.
There's no doubt that this series can roll back and forth, and certainly you can toss the records and the stats and everything out of the window.
Green to the counter. A couple of blockers in front. Good balance and vision as he brings it out to the 38. John Johnson, the bandit, the junior out of LaGrange, Georgia, is there to knock him down. Going to be 3rd and short.
Harold Green is a back I think that most of the country is not aware of, but he is truly a great back, isn't he, Tom?
Well, he's played in the 1 set basically since he's been here, predominantly being the 1 man in the backfield without the lead blocker, without the tremendous line size that we've had a little problem getting. Harold's gotten a lot of it on his own.
Green with a pitch, going to try to get it with a sweep. Gets by Kirkland, and he will have the first down as they shove him out of bounds. Levon Kirkland giving chase, and James Lott finally had to come over and make the tackle.
Well, I think you just heard what Todd Ellis said about Harold Green getting it on his own. There's some blocking going on, but not a great deal. And Clemson gets him turned laterally, but look at the speed of Green and watch him square up when he needs. He has to get the first down. He gets his head and shoulders in there just enough to pick up a first down. A big kid and a #1 pick, as I said earlier in the NFL draft.
Dingle checks into the backfield. Green now 10 carries, 47 yards. Mike Dingle with a pitch. Airborne, and he'll be stopped for no gain. Vance Hammond, the big junior out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, reaches up and grabs on. Play much akin to what Florida likes to run with Smith.
Since you've been injured, have you been working, trying to help out at the quarterback position with all that inexperience, Turner and DeMacy?
Well, I think with Dickey, he's for 3 years has known the system so well behind me. I've had a lot of confidence to him, but basically I've waited for him to come to me. I didn't want to be a part that I felt like I was in there all the time.
Now DeMacy comes out from under center, calls a timeout. So we'll take a break. 12 minutes and 50 seconds left in the 3rd period. Clemson right now hurling a shutout. Football Saturday, Clemson versus South Carolina, is brought to you by Levi's 505 and 506 jeans. By Jeep, there's only one Jeep. And by Tempstar Furnaces, you can rely on the star. As you get a look at the beautiful Capitol building here in Columbia, South Carolina. Ron Franklin, Kevin Kiley, and Todd Ellis coming to you from Columbia, South Carolina tonight, 24-0. The Gamecocks on the short end of this one right now. It's 2nd down and 10. South Carolina needs the 50-yard line. Pressure for the outside, shovel pass, pass, and it will go for nothing. In fact, a big loss as the marker comes down, and Vance Hammond is the man who came through and hit Pitchko. I mean, as soon as he got the football, he might have been better off just to have dropped the doggone thing.
Well, that's one thing I'm sure Dickey was aware of there, but if you throw that ball in the ground on the shovel pass, the old Utah pass they called it, that is just an incompleted pass. And I think if he would have seen the pressure at that point, I think he thought the blitz was backing out.
Right now, the Gamecocks flagged for offensive holding.
Oh, here's the play, Todd. Now, he's audibling right here. Now, tell me what happens as he...
Basically, I believe, Kevin, that's a decoy. We use that in all of our passing game, and we don't want them always to know when we're throwing the ball, obviously. So he does that sometimes on run, sometimes on pass. So that time was a called play.
Third down, they need the 50. Tries to set screen to the left. Nothing there, he's going to run it. 40, goes down at the 41. John Johnson will wrap him up. Going to be 9 yards shy of the first down. He picked up 7.
Well, I guess, Todd, if there's one thing that Dickey did better than you, we just saw it, huh?
There's no doubt about it. If he had any skills that I wish that Dickey could have shown me out there on the practice field, too bad that quick feet is not one of them.
Aaron Parker to kick it away to James Lott. See, Parker's average almost 45 per boot. His longest 65 this year. Wobbly spiral off the side of his foot. Going to wind up with no return, though, and they'll be touching it dead at the 25-yard line. 34 yards in the kick. ESPN's presentation of college football continues this Thursday with a special Thanksgiving edition. 10 a.m. It's Ivy League with Cornell visiting Pennsylvania. And then at 8 o'clock, Kevin and I are going to be in the Carrier Dome as Major Harris leads 18th-ranked West Virginia against the Orangemen of Syracuse. So make those plans on Thanksgiving Day. As Morocco looks for his tight end, he's got him. Oh, what a hit. Broke off the tackle and took it out to the 34-yard line. To check it, it was Tony Kennedy, not Stacy Fields. Good heavens, what a hit.
All right, go ahead, Todd.
That's an excellent play fake by Morocco. The defense is ready for it. Antoine Walker comes off of his corner position and makes a big stick on him, but the Clemson guy held on. That's what you call intensity.
Walker just came out of the ball game. Straight ahead, Kennedy again. Won't get by Patrick Henton, who will step up to make the tackle. Let's take a look at the possessions by Clemson in the first half. Not many passing plays. First drive, 13 plays, touch. 8 plays on the second, another touchdown, 54 yards. Field goal on a 13-play drive. Fourth possession, scored a touchdown, which covered 87 yards in the drive, and they punted with 5 seconds left until the halftime. Kennedy again has 5 and is hammered down. That's a good hit by Hinton. The junior from Atlanta, along with Marty Dye, coming up to make the tackle.
Yeah, it's funny with most teams, when they want to call it off on offense, they run the ball. When Clemson wants to call off the dogs, they throw the ball.
There's no doubt that play's been hurting us for 5 years since I've been here. I'd say, if anything, it consistently has been a winner for Clemson against about any team has been the dive play.
Why does it hurt you? Personnel mismatch, isn't it?
Definitely.
Straight ahead with the fullback, and Kennedy will take it near the first down. Marty Dye will make the stop at the 45, and let's see from where they've spotted it. We may even have a measurement on this. He is about a foot away.
76, Eric Harmon. 67, Stacy Long. We talked about personnel mismatch. They get high turned, and then you get the fullback coming up through the middle. But one thing here is that South Carolina has the nose guard, Tim High, picking a side, and whatever side he picks, the lineman takes him that way, and then the backs are trained so well, they just find that open seam on the side that he didn't go to, and it's worked all night.
That's one thing about this defense, is that we're so proud of them because they've, of course, you know, you called it here in '87 against Clemson. They were an aggressive blitzing defense, and it's been very difficult for them to play such a disciplined lineup. And we just know that with over time, that Coach Woods will get a better experience, of course, bring players players in there are more adapt to playing this type of defense.
Yeah, these guys were recruited for the other defense, weren't they?
First down from the 46. Henderson tries to turn the corner, picks up a couple. Here's an update on Terry Allen. We told you we'd get a report from halftime. He has re-injured that sprained knee. He is out for the remainder of the ball game. Re-injured sprained knee. Left the game with 97 yards on 14 carries and 2 touchdowns. And of course, Henderson actually is not his replacement. Henderson started the ball game. They were using Allen at both fullback and also a tailback. Anderson straight ahead, goes across midfield. Got to be a third down situation. David Taylor from a strong safety spot. You mentioned Sparky just a moment ago. The transition, it has gone smoothly, hasn't it, with his new staff?
It really had. He had so many things, of course, on and off the field that he was responsible for when he came in. And I think if it was just coaching here at South Carolina, that would have been a lot easier for him. But he's taken on a lot of great tasks and has done a super job here.
You know, I hear a lot of things, a lot of statements that are started off with discipline and behavior and reputation. Cooper on the pitch reverse. Tries to break a tackle. That's a great defensive move by David Taylor.
We haven't heard much of David Taylor. When we spoke to the coaches, they said he was one of the players that had a real difficult time learning the discipline of the new defense, number 42. But a great athlete, and he shows it here. He comes all the way from the other side and stops the reverse. David Taylor, nice play.
Gardocki to punt it away. You're looking at Carl Platt, the single. Actually, this time they're in a dual safety. Skeets Thomas is back with him. Gardocki's first punt of the night was good for 44. Very high. Good coverage kick. Fumbled, picked up, and out of bounds immediately was Thomas. Good heavens. 33 yards in the kick. Let's take a break. 7:41 left in the third. Clemson by 24.
Bragging rights for 365 days. Go Tigers!
Well, the last 40 years, we've seen them come and we've seen them go, and we always whip the Gamecock.
Means I can go to work on Monday. It means I can tell Carolina jokes for a year.
There is no other Carolina school. There's only Carolina.
The Gamecock. Carolina, yay!
Yeah, we want to trim that tiger, make him a kitten, you know. Let the rooster spur him.
You know something, last night, guys, I walked into the hotel and they had, I don't know if they're several now, they had the Gamecock right there in the lobby.
Gamecock? How could you tell?
Well, hey, I had enough respect. I looked and said, you got to be the Gamecock. Turner comes back in at quarterback. We saw him briefly back in the first half. Green, a couple of stagger steps, then he really gets walloped down. Clemson, those linebackers are so very quick, and that's Brewster who steps up into the hole to make the tackle. Back to what we were talking about before the break, and Sparky and he was really concerned about image. That's extremely important to him, isn't it?
It is very important to him. He realizes that's one of the reasons that they hired him here. And he's taking a hands-on approach as far as that goes, and he realizes that sometimes coaching football can be a secondary thing.
Wayne Simmons, a freshman out of Hilton Head, with an excellent defensive play. It is going to be third down and long. Todd, we saw the two sides there talking about the rivalry in this ball game. You know, regardless of the rivalry, you guys have to have tremendous respect for Clemson and for the job that Coach Ford has done up there.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Year in, year out, we can expect the same style, same type of intensity from Clemson football teams, and that's a credit to Coach Ford and his staff.
2 of 4 on third down conversions. Kirkland, the man who got to him first. Loss of 14. Turner never had a prayer.
The outside linebackers for Clemson, the stars of the defense, and Kirkland maybe the best of the bunch. And Turner, a former linebacker, can probably really appreciate this. He's been on the other end of this. He had a sack himself this year.
Gets the punt away quickly, but it is not very far. Only coming out now, taking a Carolina bounce out to the 48-yard line. 36 yards on the boot by Darren Parker. 24-0. Clemson Clemson continues to dominate this one. With some heavyweights matching up in that one. ACC Big East Challenge begins on December the 4th. Morocco will keep, has 5, counted off at 10 yards as he will pick up the first down on the option as Patrick Hinton and David Taylor combine on the tackle. Morocco now 27 yards on 4 rushes. Contact, and it looked like Tim High came across and bumped headgears with Hank Phillips.
Dead ball, offside, against South Carolina, the first down.
Well, Tim High has been kind of battered throughout this game. Clemson running up the middle most of the game, and he's trying to get the jump on Phillips, the center, and you can see the headgears touch. Makes you a little jumpy in there defensively when a team has as much success on the ground as Clemson has.
That's a great point. From the 34-yard line, first down for the Tigers. Henderson on the draw, inside the 30, down to the 29. Scott Windsor defensively.
Hey, you wonder why High was trying to get in there and kill the encroachment. Watch Hank Phillips, number 50, brother of John Phillips, the great All-American. See, High is too high, and then headed in the wrong direction. See, nose guard, if he's not going to make the play, he needs to hold his ground. Just get down on the ground and stay there. Log the hole.
87 yards for Henderson so far. This time it is Kennedy. Breaks it out at the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Kennedy from 30 yards, and Kevin, what a 1-2 punch. You keep looking for the tailback. He keeps blasting you all night, and then here comes the fullback.
And right behind that strong offensive line, very, very tough. Again, the offensive line, again, the center of the offensive line able to make the play. And then Kennedy just loose. If you don't have any defense up the middle, you don't have any defense. And what a strain it puts on your defensive back. You wonder, and I'll ask Todd Ellis in a minute, what he would do with a running game like that.
Gardocki kicks it through, and all of a sudden the Tigers have pushed this one out to 31-0 with 4 minutes and 26 seconds left in the third period. Todd Ellis visiting here in the booth with Kevin Kiley and myself. What do you want to do after graduation?
Well, that's at this point, I'm hoping to get the leg back together, rehab, and be up to the combines in February, which of course is in Indianapolis, and then try to wait for the draft. But basically, I'm going to be applying for law school and try to take the LSAT sometime in December.
And the LSAT takes a lot of time to prepare for, doesn't it?
That's one thing, I guess, about sitting on my tail with the leg has helped me steady.
What have the doctors told you as far as limitations with the kind of injury that you had? How long are we looking at as far as rehab?
Well, basically, I'm looking at getting the hard cast off on Monday, and then 2 weeks more on in a brace with crutches on, and then shortly after that, I'll be walking a total thing of right around the middle of February. So it's going to be close for me, but I hope to be working out pretty hard by that time.
This has really been a pleasure. You're a very bright and engaging young fellow. We wish you the very best and a speedy recovery with that leg.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it, except for under the circumstances for the Gamecocks.
Todd Ellis, we thank him for coming by. Here's the kickoff by Gardocki, deep into the end zone, and nope, they're not going to return this one. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. Well, here's the last scoring drive. 48 yards, 3 plays, and the short kick really was the punishing blow there as far as South Carolina is concerned. And then Kennedy finished off the punishment with the 30-yard run. So 31-0. The Tigers leading. DeMacy comes back in at quarterback. Well, that was fun.
It was.
What a bright young guy.
He speaks as well as he throws,
yes.
And that's saying something.
He really does. Screen goes out to Brooks, Had one blocker in front of the play, but Jerome Henderson, the junior out of Statesville, North Carolina, played it perfectly, and he knocked him down after a 3-yard gain.
You know, I think an interesting point that Todd spoke about was the physical size of a team like Clemson and the schedule that South Carolina plays, not playing against big physical people. You wonder if he had a running game like the Clemson running game, what kind of statistics he'd have put on the board over 4 years.
Swings the pass, and Dingle maybe back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Jerome Henderson again, and wow, you could hear the headgears and the shoulder pads all the way up here. You know, I asked Todd about the question about what he was going to do after graduation. Quite frankly, I thought I had read where that injury was so serious that he just might not be able to attempt professional football, but he's going to give it a try.
He has to try, I think, with the great college career he had. For his own mind, he needs to go out there and give it a shot.
Tight end. They were trying to get him to flip to the other side. Now, there is still 2 seconds. There are still 2 seconds left on the 25-second clock, but I think 2 men moved at once.
Dead ball. False start against South Carolina.
As Canadian football, you're allowed to do that.
Well, for the Gamecocks, they have, I'm sure Sparky Woods would tell you, they have made just about every mistake in the book so far tonight. The kicking game has not gone well for them. A couple of interceptions, and against a Clemson team that when they get it wired, they have it wired. Can't do that. Gets by 1. DeMacy still running. Hurdles out to the 30, and by golly, he's going to have the first down. Brewster made the tackle. Boy, what an effort. He's just simply running for his life. Also, Vance Hammond is the man who was holding on to his jersey.
Well, even before the injury, Todd Ellis could not do something like this. Todd with a great arm, but a little slow of foot, and Clemson all over DeMacy. Now watch the move he makes. Now, hurdling is not legal, but this is not a legitimate hurdle. That was kind of a sort of half hurdle sidestep. DeMacy did pick up a first down. Great play by Dickey.
2:27 left, third period, 31-0, Clemson. Tipped at the line of scrimmage, Hammond again. Hammond is 6'7".
Yeah, well, this is a can't win. You know, this is a can't win no matter how well you play. Watch Ike Harrison. Watch his feet and his hands on Hammond. Stays in front of him, does a great job. What happens? Hammond smart, watching the quarterback, sticks his hand up and blocks it. 6 for 10, 2 interceptions for DeMacy. But that was a nice job by Ike Harrison, left offensive tackle.
Pressure for the outside, no place for Dingle to go. Going to be stopped at the 31-yard line. He'll lose a half. Wayne Simmons, the first man to step across and hit him. Simmons is a man, he has to play behind John Johnson, who was a terror. Simmons comes in the ball game, and he's been an offense wrecker.
They have personnel. We talked about personnel mismatches, and one of the reasons that South Carolina had gone to some of the defenses they did under Joe Morris and the offenses is because they didn't need the big, strong personnel. They could go with speed, and it worked out pretty well.
Gets it away. No marker has been thrown, so they're not going to call him for grounding. And of course, there is no in the grass. Kirkland was hanging all over him.
To give you some, Levon Kirkland, of course, an outside linebacker. Let me give you some outside linebacker statistics. 174 tackles, 15 sacks, 10 passes broken up, 12 interceptions. This year for the outside linebackers. They dominate the Clemson defense. Great players.
Darren Parker. He gets a good one off. Lott all the way back to the 20-yard line. Stiff arms. Got posted and then almost had his shoulder pads taken off as Marty Baker was there to make the tackle. Be sure to be with the ESPN tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. That's NFL Game Day. Chris Berman and our Emmy Award-winning crew, and they'll preview what is coming up tomorrow in the National Football League. And then at 7 o'clock, they're back with NFL Prime Time, and you'll see highlights of every game played that day. And our coverage tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, the New York Jets battling the Indianapolis Colts, all tomorrow, right here on ESPN. Deshaun Cameron comes in at quarterback. We saw him against Florida State. Gets his pass away, complete to the 35. Doug Thomas will take it up near the first down at the 37. Cameron out of LaGrange, Georgia. Thrown for 377 yards this year. No touchdowns, and has been picked off one time.
A lot of depth on the Clemson team. He'd be a starter for a lot of teams around the nation. There's Rodney Williams in the trench coat, 4-year starter, and then his successor, Chris Morocco.
Junior Hall out over the 45 to the 46. I beg your pardon, Reggie Lawrence, 34. Junior Hall in the ball game also, a freshman out of Gastonia.
Watch the block here by number 68 for Clemson, and then another blowout block. You know, Clemson in this game, I've never seen a game where you had to get away from the inside running game to slow down your offense.
Cameron throws it complete. Good heavens, what a hit on Rodney Fletcher at the 40, and it's Leon Harris, but a gain of 15. Just listen to this hit. Well, one thing in Clemson's credit, they have only 13 turnovers this year. In fact, they're third in the nation in giveaway takeaway ratio. They hold on to the football. 15 minutes left in this one. That's the end of the third period. Clemson 31-0. Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley back in Columbia, South Carolina. There you see it, the Tigers 31-0, and their fans are loving it. Cameron hands it off to Reggie Lawrence, takes it down to around the 35-yard line. Reggie Lawrence. Well, the attendance, 7th largest here at this stadium, 74,409. 74,409. You know, the way the tickets are dispensed in this one, about 62,000 go home unhappy. Cameron will keep it. Down to the 31-yard line. Cameron, Mike Conway is coming to the ball game, a senior out of Fort Myers, Florida, now playing the rover position, is there to make the stop defensively. One other note, this ticket costs $21 rather than $16. They up at $5, so you can say $5 times the 74,409, and that goes toward an academic scholarship fund here at South Carolina.
A great university. Sometimes that has gotten lost over the past couple of years with some of the publicity about the football team. This is one great university, and coming back on the football field, you can bet on it.
Cameron to the right side this time, and he has the first down. He is at the 26. Patrick Henton making the stop defensively. Oh, there's Terry Allen on the sideline, re-injured that knee this evening. Now, the bowl bids don't go out until next weekend, but the rumor everywhere is that this Clemson ball club is going to be down at the Mazda Gator Bowl, and of course we're going to have that one on the 30th of December. We certainly hope that Terry Allen is healthy and ready to go in that one. Lawrence. Joe Reeves defensively making the tackle. 31-0 Clemson, and they are driving again as a lot of second teamers have come into the ball game.
Well, how about this? Here's a scary thought. The only senior on the Clemson offensive line is the center, Hank Phillips. Long is a junior. Hartman is a junior, Flesh is a sophomore, and Bratton is a sophomore. And the strength of this offense, make no mistake about it, Terry Allen, a junior, and the offensive line.
Blitz coming straight ahead. Junior Hall. Touchdown, Clemson.
I told you about this. If Clemson wanted to sit on the ball, they get away from the inside running game, but you have to run it. Junior Hall behind Hank Phillips, Flesh, Bratton, and the rest of those guys, and it's just wide open up the middle. They have ripped open the heart of the South Carolina defense, and the result has been 37 points. They've done a lot of it up the middle, Ron.
Kelvin Hawkins, number 62, out with a very good block. Garadaki keeps his string alive. With 12 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the ball game, the Clemson Tigers have jumped on top by a score of 38-0 as you watch once again Junior Hall from 22. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Clemson versus South Carolina, is brought to you by Mr. Goodwrench. Mr. Goodwrench knows it's not just a car, it's your freedom. By Federal Express, the best way to ship it over there. And by Anheuser-Busch, we brew our fine quality beers to be enjoyed responsibly. Remember, no win to say win. Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley here in Columbia, South Carolina. 12:40 left in this ball game as John Kubel will kick it off for the Clemson Tigers. Now 38-0. It out across the 35, loses the football, and I believe South Carolina has recovered at the 41. That looked like Miller got on his own fumble. Storyline in this one tonight through 3 quarters of play. Clemson scored on 6 of 8 possessions. Time of possession. Total yards, Clemson 446. South Carolina still not to 100 as yet. An average length of drive. Clemson 59, South Carolina only 12 every time they had the ball. You'd think it's 38-0 by looking at that, wouldn't you?
Sure looks like it. Clemson is a penalty here. Clemson has not shut out South Carolina since 1958. But with 88 total yards, it sure is looking like it.
Dead ball, offside. It's Clemson, first down.
Now some other scores. Stanford by 10 over Cal. Another interstate rivalry going on. Look at the LSU Tigers. 3rd period leading Mississippi State. As I mentioned earlier, they're a good defensive ball club, or have been. And our score 38-0. Junior out of Irmo, South Carolina, wants to be a doctor. Straight ahead, ball is fumbled. Clemson has recovered at the 47-yard line. Well, Ken Watson, as soon as he got the ball, got belted, and the Tigers take the turnover from them, and it looks like Muzan has recovered.
Well, Watson in his defense had only carried the ball 14 times coming in tonight. He just lost it. They went to 2 tight ends, tried to power the ball. Didn't work. Clemson has it again. Seemed like he was just trying to shift the ball over, and it got loose from him.
So for the 2nd series in a row, we'll see Cameron operating at quarterback. Reverses out, gets his pass away, tipped, and it is intercepted by South Carolina. Leon Harris. That's his 3rd of the season.
Well, I'd say old Leon was waiting for something good to happen tonight. He was chasing a couple of guys into the end zone earlier, and I'm glad to see him get something on the positive side.
You know, I mentioned the takeaway total by this man's ball club. 3rd in the nation. 13 turnovers. They had grabbed off 29 coming into tonight's ball game. They had 7 total in the game against Duke and against Georgia Tech.
Well, you can see what Danny places such a high regard on turnovers and why his program is successful.
Pitch comes to Green, tries to turn the corner. At the 35, it'll be down at the 37.
Danny Ford and Sparky Woods, you got to understand, Danny's been around a long time. Third in the nation in turnover ratio, 1.6 a game. 14 for Clemson, 32 for the opponents. But Sparky Woods at Appalachian State, when he was there for 4 years, his turnover ratio, 48 games at Appalachian State. The first 10 games this year, plus 88. His philosophy is the same. He just needs to get some more people on his team.
Being in motion, they give the ball to Green in all kind of trouble, breaks 2 tackles, and then half the Clemson team comes over to knock him down. Kenzel Jackson leading the attack.
That's the best minus 2-yard run you'll ever see. I've been watching this guy for 4 years. When he gets to the pros, everyone's going to say, where did he come from? This is a great back. 53 yards, and what does South Carolina have? About 95 yards in total offense, and Harold Green has 53 of them.
They're not to 100 yards as yet. South Carolina needs the 42. Pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage and knocked down. It'll be 4th down. Wayne Simmons. Well, we talked about him. He came in for John Johnson, who had played a great game. And now he's going to fly.
Yeah. Wayne better be careful. He's got to come back 3 more times against this team. Dickie DeMacy again, not sure what he's looking for. That little hitch gives Simmons enough time to get in there and block the pass. Ooh.
Parker's punt. This is a beauty. Lott runs away from it. Must have lost it in the lights or something. And South Carolina will down it at the 16-yard line. There is a marker down at the 45. That kick is good for 48, and a hang time very close to 5 seconds.
For South Carolina was that punt. They kicked down to the 1-yard line and had that punt called back.
Yeah. Personal foul against Clemson. Personal foul against South Carolina. Offset, the 4th down.
That play was a 55. That previous play was a 55-yard penalty on South Carolina.
I'm not sure I'm that superstitious, but do you realize, here's some trivia for you, this is the first time in regular season ever that Clemson has worn orange pants with white jerseys.
What does that mean?
Well, it's, you know, they handed that to me at the beginning of the game, and I said, well, okay, but in the orange pants, they're 15-2, and that kick is blocked right down the middle. Scramble for it, and it is down at the 5-yard line. Mitch Belton recovered it at the 5-yard line. Kenzel Jackson will get credit for the block.
Belton is from Columbia, right here in town. Big play. You know, this is interesting. That again, the line, Clemson just come right through, blocks the thing. Now watch how Belton might have been able to get this thing into the end zone. They said his teammates were so greedy, they're all after the thing, and they ran over each other and made him fall down.
Running play, Reggie Lawrence, right side. He is down to the 1-yard line.
Get back home, baby, for the brother.
Now there's Belton, who made the recovery after Jackson had blocked it. Substitutes coming from both sides, left and right. Try to check and see the 2 offensive backs. It's going to be Reggie Lawrence for 1, and Tony Kennedy as the fullback. Kennedy, left side, touchdown Tigers. For the over 12,000 strong that have come in to see it, this celebration may go on into the night.
Well, not totally unexpected. Again, great blocking up front. No resistance whatsoever. Kennedy just walks in and has a word for the nation on how good he is from 1 yard out.
Garnacki tries to make it 45. And he does. So the Clemson Tigers, now with 9 minutes, 54 seconds left in this one, they got it salted away. back at college football in the 80s. There's no doubt the 1982 Orange Bowl was Clemson's crowning moment. Danny Ford's club was 11-0, and only Nebraska stood in the way of a national title. Led by quarterback Homer Jordan and wide receiver Perry Tuttle, Clemson defeated Nebraska 22-15. And left no doubt who was number one. Well, many people thought that 1989 might be that situation for that man right there. However, they lost a lot of players. They're going to wind up 9-2 regular season. You can see that a lot of the home folks are headed for home where it's a little bit warmer. Kubo's kick going to go to Miller to the far side at the 10, 20. Needs one block, and he couldn't get it. Tripped up as he crossed the 20-yard line, and James Trapp, one of the leaders of the special teams for the Tigers, is the man who makes the stop. ESPN's College Football Saturday kicks off every week, 11:30 Eastern Time, and there are the guys, Bob Carpenter, Bino Cook, and Lee Corso. They'll preview what's coming up in the day. Then at 3:30, it is off to the SEC as Kentucky hosts the 9th-ranked Volunteers of Tennessee. Pat Turner back in at quarterback. This is Brooks. Gets a block, 25 at the 30 and out to the 35. That's good for a gain of almost 12, maybe 13. Yep, it is 12.
That was Pat Turner, the ex-linebacker turned quarterback, made that block on the corner.
How many quarterbacks in the nation have an interception this year?
Yeah, right.
He's got to be in a category.
Well, he
has to lead it.
Yeah, 10 or 12 tackles, too. I want to make a point after this play. We looked at the 82 Orange Bowl with Danny Ford. I want to talk about Danny Ford, something he told us about Nebraska that year that might qualify for the upcoming Notre Dame-Miami game. An interesting point.
Green in the ball game at tailback, gets the handoff in a little counter play, breaks it across the 40 to the 41. You know, Carl Pickens at Tennessee also was in a class by himself that I know of in Division I ball. He is playing both ways for the Volunteers, wide receiver and also defensive back.
And what a great year they have had. Yesterday we talked to Danny Ford, and he said he felt that Clemson probably would not have beaten Nebraska in the Orange Bowl except for the heat and the humidity. Them coming from a cold weather climate and Clemson practicing in a warm weather climate might have made the difference in the game. And he also said that Notre Dame playing down in Miami this coming week could be the difference in the game, coming from the cold weather in the Midwest against Miami. He feels Miami has a shot in that game.
Pass incomplete. Keith being the intended receiver, and he couldn't hold on. Kev, I'll tell you, after seeing him against Florida State, I don't care where they play it, what kind of weather. I think they got more than a chance. I think the Irish have really got their hands full this weekend.
That's a ferocious bunch, the Miami Hurricanes. Pat Turner, I'd like to see Pat Turner of South Carolina complete a pass here.
Well, there's a timeout on the field with 8 minutes, 23 seconds left in the ball game. Clemson 45, South Carolina nothing. We talk about people who have guts to do what they do on the field. That is our own Garland Wells on that platform suspended real high above the stadium. A little breezy up there too. Whew. On third down, Green breaks one tackle and will not get out of the grasp of Kinzel Jackson at the 40-yard line. Fourth down, kicking time again. You know, one other note about the scores that we saw a while ago. Tennessee, with that win over Ole Miss today, they have not lost a game in November since 1984. That's keeping the troops regrouped and grouped, isn't it?
You think about last year when he was over and he went to November and went undefeated.
Dexter Davis up the far sideline gets shoved out of bounds just shy of the 30-yard line. Oh, the primetime review. #1 Notre Dame. They were behind early. They come back and win. Rice 141 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns.
could sew up the Heisman next week, Tony Rice.
And this one right here, you talk about rivalries and emotion. USC, big favorite, tie in the game. USC outrushed UCLA. You can see the numbers there. And Nebraska winning over Oklahoma, I believe, since 1961. It is the first time that that game really didn't mean anything as far as the conference race. Auburn 20-3, and they were spectacular today. Slacked 230 yards passing. Reggie Dimps into the ball game at running back, takes it across the 30 to the 32. Robert Gibson makes the stop defensively. You know, we're located, Kevin, just off the fairgrounds here in Columbia, South Carolina. This game until 1960 was always played on Thursday. What Big Thursday is what they used to call it.
Well, it's part of the state fair.
Yep.
And you can see by the enthusiasm what a great day that must have been. But Frank Howard, the former coach at Clemson, got it moved. Or at least moved home and home. The reason Clemson's stadium, aside from the fact they wanted to play at home, Clemson Stadium began expanding. And to give you an idea of the enthusiasm, I think they averaged 71,000 here this year. At Clemson this season, they averaged 78,800 people at Death Valley for their home game. So and there's only 3 million people in South Carolina. I guess everybody saw at least one game.
Frank Howard, you mentioned him. Beautiful story on him today on game day. That was wonderful. It's Bino Cook did. Quarterback keeper Michael Carr out of Amet, Louisiana. The keeper going to be close to the first down. Going to spot him down at the 38. Again, it's Robert Gibson, a junior out of Jamestown, North Carolina, making the stop. I talked early on the telecast about how in different decades they had swapped off in momentum. Well, Clemson has owned it in the 80s and also in the 70s. Tied in the 60s, South Carolina in the 50s and the 40s. So it has been to and fro. And I can promise you one thing. Sparky Woods, the gentleman who is now the head coach here in Columbia, will not only help this ball club turn in the right direction, I think there'll be a force to be dealt with in 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. He needs to recruit some people for his style of football.
Got a great stand. Kick is taken and down immediately at the 27 is Carl Platt. 5:45 left in this one. 35-yard punt. And the Tigers in a tight grip. Well, coming up next, the Residents in College Football Scoreboard Show. Bob Carpenter, Bino Cook, and Lee Corso will be back to wrap up what has happened on this football Saturday. And then following that, Sports Center with Tom Mees and John Saunders, all immediately following the ball game. Short drop hit. Is that a fumble or an incompletion? Yep, it is a fumble. Recovered by Tyrone Mouzon.
Well, the one thing you can't do, and I know this probably hurts Danny Ford to see things like this, you just can't turn off talent. I mean, talent, they're so deep in Clemson and so young that they just, they just come and they're overpowering South Carolina.
I'll give you a good example of what you're talking about. Otis Moore is a starter. He's a senior. Chester McLaughlin plays behind him, only a freshman. That's the 9th tackle for a loss that he has this year. So Moore graduates, McLaughlin steps in. Nibbs tries to get it outside. Is going to be tackled after a gain of maybe 1 yard in the play. Clemson Tigers number 1. That's
8 weeks ago, I'd have agreed with him. Was it 8 weeks ago? Well, it was a while ago, after Florida State.
Just over 5 minutes to play in the ballgame. Oh, that's for sure. And particularly the way their schedule fell in line.
I couldn't see anyone that could have beaten them at that point.
Dimps tries to turn the corner. Nice defensive play. He's going to be stopped for nothing. Actually, a loss in the play is the whistle sound. And now we've got to check some numbers that Cedric Surratt making the play defensively. There's a lot of people coming on the field that were not on the 2 or 3 deep.
Hey, talk about this rivalry, about how intense it is, and some of the strange things that have happened over the years. In the 40s, there was a center at Clemson, a fellow named Gary Cox, during the war. He was in the service, and they transferred him to South Carolina, where he became a starter for South Carolina. after this play, I'll finish.
Pitch comes back to Ditch, going to be hit and knocked down. Before you go to your story, let me tell you that last play, tackle for the loss. That's the first loss from scrimmage by Clemson tonight. First negative yardage.
Well, anyway, this Gary Cox fellow was the center, so he went to South Carolina where they wanted him to play football. He didn't want to play for South Carolina because he had been on the Clemson team, went to his commanding officer who insisted that he play for South Carolina, was elected captain and played against Clemson. Well, after the war, as I understand it, he transferred back to Clemson, was elected captain there, and played against South Carolina. So he was, during his football career, Gary Cox, a captain for both South Carolina and Clemson. Anyway.
Thanks, Kevin, for that short story. That
my pleasure.
Maybe turned into 30-minute shows next year. Doug Bolin is coming in at tailback for the Tigers. 3:32 left to play in a ball game. And from the looks of Danny Ford on the far sideline, if you just walked in and looked and say, wow, Clemson must be losing. Not the case. Bolin takes it straight ahead, and he will have a gain of about 4 or 5. Now temper's coming up just a little bit. And you know that the Gamecocks have got to be a little bit frustrated. This is the worst South Carolina loss to Clemson since 1935. They lost that one 44-0. And the worst ever was 51-0, and that was 1900.
Well, going back, we talked to Todd Ellis about their schedule. I mean, this is a national team they're playing here.
Coming up next, the Residents in College Football Scoreboard. Dingle around the left side. Takes it in the vicinity of the 23. Moves on again. He's only a sophomore, 6'1", 214 pounds. Dingle's a good-looking running back at 6'3", 235.
Well, earlier we talked about Harold Green. He was the South Carolina High School Back of the Year in '85. Dingle was the same thing in 1986. Came right here to South Carolina following Harold Green.
Dingle again. Nice little move up the middle. Takes it out for 5, 7, 8. Rams will make the stop, and he's going to move the chains. Has the first down and about 7 more. Oh, what did the people in the Heisman Watch do today? Anthony Thompson, 182 yards. It puts him at almost 1,700 for the season. 25 touchdowns. Emmitt Smith, 126 today. Couple of touchdowns. And you see his totals. And he's still got one left against Florida State. Watson spins off a tackle out to the 42. To continue that, Tony Rice, 141 rushing, 47 passing, 2 touchdowns.
I watched part of that game, and that was a remarkable performance. He shattered that Penn State defense early, made them honest all by himself, and then they went on to win that game.
Blair Thomas, 133 yards today, scored a couple of times.
I think his stats are remarkable because of their passing game. Penn State's passing game so weak this year, and yet he's had a great year, and that should say a lot for him.
Dingle is at the line of scrimmage. Maybe going to have one. Well, Major Harris didn't play today. Look at those totals. And don't forget, you'll see him on Thursday night. Kevin and I will be in the Carrier Dome as Syracuse plays host to West Virginia, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And Andre Ware. Andre, look at the percentage. Almost 63% and almost 4,000 yards with 40 touchdowns.
He must be somewhere today throwing touchdowns.
Swings the pass, has it complete down at the 45-yard line.
Turner. You can hear the crowd cheering for Turner, as they should.
Skeets Thomas right there, number 10, is the man who made the catch.
Matt Turner thrown into the quarterback situation when Todd Ellis went down, came over from linebacker, and I believe that was his first completion. A great quarterback as a freshman, but hit the weights, became a defensive player, and tough to make that transition back.
Dingle hurdles, and he's down to the 37. Kinsel Jackson again in the stop. Or some second teamers for Clemson that are going to move into first teamers shortly, like Simmons and Jackson and McLaughlin, guys like that. Boy, they're going to step in and nobody's going to miss stride, are they?
Well, the Tigers lost 37 players last year. This was considered a transition year, and they're headed for 9-2. Inside the 30 to the 28, and mercifully, that is going to be the last play of this one. Nope, now whistles. They're going to hold it up for a second so they can move the chains. Then it will be whistled in. So the Gamecocks possibly can get off one more play. Total yards of the ball game, we have Clemson 355 rushing, 111 passing for a 466 total. And for South Carolina, 133 rushing, 22 passing for 155, their total. Well, South Carolina calls a timeout with 8 seconds left to get one more play out. ES presentation of college football continues this Thursday. This is a special Thanksgiving edition. It all begins at 10 a.m. Ivy League battle between Cornell and Pennsylvania. Then, as I mentioned to you, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Kevin and I are going to be in the Carrier Dome. Major Harris will lead his 18th ranked West Virginia ball club against the Orangemen of Syracuse. And coming up next, the Residence Inn College Football Scoreboard. 8 seconds left. Clemson dropping a secondary all over the field, about 20 yards off the ball, looking for either Hail Mary or just whatever they're going to go for in the end zone. Turner scrambling, now gets it away, and it is intercepted by Eric Jeter. The sideline, and he's knocked out of bounds, and that will do it. As Jeter with his second interception of the year, and he is only a freshman, as Danny Ford goes across to shake hands with Sparky Woods. Sparky said he knew what this rivalry was all about, and tonight he witnessed it firsthand, and it was not a pleasant experience. So let's take a break. Clemson 45. South Carolina nothing. We'll come back with some closing thoughts in just a moment. Well, once again, our final score was Clemson 45 and South Carolina nothing. And tonight's Visa players of the game are from Clemson, Terry Allen. He scored a couple of touchdowns in the game before re-injuring his knee. And then from the University of South Carolina, tailback Harold Green. Now, as part of their continuing development of amateur athletics, Visa is proud to donate $1,000 to each of these two universities and $1,000 to the U.S. Olympic team. Now for Kevin Kiley and our ESPN crew, I'm Ron Franklin. Let's join Bob Carpenter for our Residence Inn College Football Scoreboard and find out what else happened today.
All right, Ron, thank you very much. A lot happened tonight down in Columbia for Clemson. Very impressive for the Tigers as they handle the Gamecocks 45-0.